This is Sonam Wangchuk. He's the co-founder of SECMOL, Students' Educational and Cultural Movement of Ladakh, Himalayan Institute of Alternatives, HIAL as well. He's an engineer, an innovator, an education reformist. Sonam has been awarded on various platforms, most recently the Magsaysay Award. So it's amazing and great to have you from all the way from Ladakh. Let's hear it for Sonam Wangchuk.
I've never let my schooling interfere with my education. So said Mark Twain. How about you? Do you miss your school or college days? You perhaps do, but perhaps not for the classrooms and teachings. You actually perhaps wished every day that the school be closed the next day so you could stay home. But here's a school in Ladakh where the most dreaded punishment is to be sent home for 2 weeks, where students learn by doing things, where they engage in various innovations to solve real-life problems like climate change, where they run the school themselves like a little country with an elected government and learn management and governance that way, where they learn communication by running the campus newspaper and radio, science by designing and building their own school, solar-heated mud buildings that stay at plus 15 even when minus 15 winters. Kindness and compassion through introspection and meditation. A school where the criteria of admission is not your percentage, but that the conventional system has failed you. Hi, I'm Sonam Wangchuk from Ladakh, a remote mountain region in the Indian Himalayas. 25 years ago, when I was finishing my own engineering education, I saw that schools were a pain for everyone, but for mountain children, it was doubly painful and irrelevant. Children who spoke Ladakhi or Tibetan at home were made to sit all day memorizing in alien languages like Urdu or English. F for fan, S for ship, T for train. Till recently, every year, 95% of the students used to fail in the all-important 10th grade exams. Together with like-minded friends, we launched SECMOL, the Students' Educational and Cultural Movement of Ladakh, and said enough is enough. Working with the government, we rewrote many textbooks, retrained the teachers, and organized the villagers. And the results started changing too. For those who still failed, we started the alternative school that you just saw. And the results? Tewang Rigzin went on to become a top journalist and later became the education minister of Ladakh Hill Council at 27. He had failed his 10th grade 5 times. Stanzin became a filmmaker and has been winning awards across countries. He had failed 4 times. Miss Tinless is today a celebrated social entrepreneur. She had failed 3 times. But now we see that the state of higher education is no better. Not only for Ladakhis, who of course are doubly disadvantaged again, but for you in the big cities too. It's time we change this. We in Ladakh are dreaming again. This time our dream is to create an alternative university that will use all our learnings from the past 25 years. Once again, a hands-on doers university, where the School of Business runs real-life companies on campus. The School of Tourism runs high-end hotels and simple homestays. The School of Education runs innovative schools. The revenues from these sustain the university while the students get free higher education and of course hands-on experience. But this is more than a dream now. His Holiness Chetsang Rinpoche, one of the top spiritual leaders in Tibetan Buddhism after His Holiness the Dalai Lama, is supporting this cause as the chief patron. The Hill Council government of Ladakh has earmarked roughly 200 acres of land, and the Ice Stupa artificial glaciers have already started greening this desert. A fully solar-heated, mud-built university township is being planned by some of India's top architects. Together, let's start the next learning revolution, where education is not limited to just the 3 R's, all too much to do with the head alone, where skills of the hands and kindness of the heart are given equal importance. Sure, it would take significant financial resources to materialize this ambitious dream. Recently, I was awarded the prestigious Rolex Award for Enterprise for the Ice Stupa artificial glaciers.
Sonam Wangchuk.
I contribute my Rolex Award as a seed for this cause. Thank you very much. I have decided to contribute the roughly 1 crore rupees as a seed fund to finally raise 150 crore rupees for the first phase of the project. And I very much hope that you all will join me and match this contribution according to your capacities. Together, we can change the face of higher education forever, not just for Ladakh, but for the whole world. So join us. The future has already begun. Good morning and Jule as we greet in Ladakh. Jule. Well, you have learned half of Ladakhi already because Jule means greetings, Jule means thank you, Jule means good morning, good afternoon, good evening, goodbye, and so many other things. Yeah. You just saw this short film. It was made for a crowdfunding of maybe the world's first crowdsourced university, alternative university, because crowd means people, and when they contribute, it's a vote of approval, felt need also. And I'll come to how crowdsourcing can be used in different other ways at the end of this presentation. But I'll share with you a little bit of my journey in localized education, as the theme was given, for young people and their livelihoods and so on. I'll take you through some images so that for a place like Ladakh, images speak more than my 1,000 words, as they say. So we'll go to the images. This is what I'm going to tell about, a place high up across the Himalayas, in the rain shadows, actually trans-Himalayas. Himalayas are very green, lush green, and that's why all the monsoon clouds shed their moisture, and what we are left is high and dry. Yeah? And if you approached by air, you wouldn't think life would be possible here. It looks more like a moonscape or a Marsscape, doesn't it? This actually is the Mars. This is Ladakh. And the difference is the little green patches. That's what the difference is. This is where human beings enriched nature. Our ancestors, when they came here, they contributed to the richness of nature. Perhaps the only place where only afforestation is possible. Deforestation is just not possible. Yeah? So, with nothing, even rains are, precipitation is less than 100 millimeters. They mastered the art of using water from thousands of years ago, fossilized water that stays in the glaciers, channelizing them over rocks carved by them, and patches of barley, and then trees, even fruit trees, apples, apricots, make what is today's Ladakh. But being up in the mountains, we face a lot of challenges. We are a very tiny minority, culturally, linguistically, yes, ethnically, but even climatically and technologically. Just a minute. And this being a minority affects worst the children in schools. As you can see here, Happy Ladakh suddenly finds itself in this state where children in schools are failing by hundreds and thousands. 95% used to fail. And I came face to face with this through an accident. The best thing that could happen, I feel now in retrospect. I had to teach students to finance my engineering. And while teaching, I could see what they were going through. Children up in the mountains would be taught suddenly in Urdu, the state language in Jammu and Kashmir, or English, the international language, and about things that made no sense at all in a place like Ladakh. For example, F for fan. A for apple, B for ball makes some sense. Apple is more concrete than the squiggle A. Ball is something child can relate to. But in -30 winters in a nomadic tent, the teacher goes, F for fan. Remember, F for fan. And the children can't even imagine when he tells them, this is some apparatus to keep you cool. And yet, when such failures happened, the people, the society, the system would all blame the children for being bad, being almost retarded. Some would even say, these Ladakhi children can never learn maths and science. There's not enough oxygen in the air. They can't fabricate oxygen. They might as well give up, which is easier. So I used to run pillar to post saying, there's nothing wrong with our children, the system has a problem, and so on. And I was in my early 20s, and interestingly, Helena captured what I was going around saying and put it in this movie she made. I'll play a little clip.
For example, how to make tea.
About education.
And they can easily produce that back in their answer books. You see, first boil the water, then put the tea leaves and put the milk and things. But they can only write that on paper. They cannot make tea. And then after 2 years of this English, you have to face the main examination, that is the passport to jobs or further studies. And students fail here in their hundreds. About 90%, 95% fail. When they fail, they are really in trouble. See? They cannot go back to the traditional life and start doing farming and other things because they are so confused, they don't know anything because they've been kept away. And they are rejected by the modern sector. So they belong to none of these. They are rejected by the modern, they are cut off from the traditional.
So this is in a film called Ancient Futures, and you saw ancient Sonam Wangchuk, yeah? Just now. So just after finishing my engineering, when I was so moved by the state of education that I decided to not add another engineering to the long queue of engineers waiting for jobs, I instead decided to bring reforms in the education system, and that's what this is from. So as soon as I finished my engineering, I went back, found like-minded young people to change the system, which sounded ridiculous at that time. People laughed, but we said things need to be changed. If the textbooks don't make sense to a place like Ladakh, we should change them. Although people thought, how could you change the textbooks? They are almost next to, Bible or Gita that came from the heavens. And we said, no, if it doesn't help people-made things can be changed. So we started questioning and then trying to change in the government schools. That's where most of the young children were. And we wanted to change by changing the textbooks and change by helping teachers teach better, relating to the children at their level, making it more contextual. For example, going to the stream bed to learn about insects and life there rather than from those faded pages of books. Or organizing the villagers to demand quality education. We wanted to use democracy to bring reforms. You can't just go and speak to the director of education and bring changes unless people want change. And if people want change, all governments will change their policies. If they don't, even a friendly government who says yes to everything, the next government will undo everything. So part of it was organizing people, changing their priorities, their programming at the roots to demand education instead of kerosene or subsidized rice and so on. And very soon we were able to bring actually changes in the government, and the textbooks we made were adopted by the government, and they still continue to be the standard government textbooks today. So we replaced things like fan and even worse things with, animals. If it is, then it is animals in the mountains. If it is science, then it is what can be used to keep yourselves warm in the winters, cook in the sun, and celebrating traditional technologies like these water mills, or preserving food when it is about microorganisms or germ theory. How can you apply it in life? Yeah. Textbooks were all changed from science to maths, not maths, science to social studies and so on, and instilling values in the children that to be like their parents. Working on the farm is nothing bad or low. It is actually a clean and beautiful profession. So changing values also. Local history, learning about the Leh Palace before you learn about the Qutub Minar and the Minar of Pisa and so on, which was the reverse order, yeah? From unknown to not about known, but we wanted it to be known to unknown. Slowly the results changed, as you saw also, but around this time we started thinking that, okay, it's better but not really good enough for what children spend a precious quarter of their lives in schools. They shouldn't come with a stamp of failure after spending 15 years. So 25% still failing is a big number, and it is not their fault. So we said, let's teach them the way they learn. If we are not, if they, they don't learn the way we teach. So therefore, we started focusing on those who still fail, and we believe that there is actually nothing wrong. In a system where young teenagers bubbling with energy are trapped in a classroom, made to sit silent, which is not their nature. For millions of years, nature has evolved us to be out in the field in action as hunter-gatherers, as settled farmers, packed us with gift of energy in our human young ones, and suddenly in the last 300 years, we put them in a classroom and make them sit still and silent, pin, drop, silent. Huh? At that. And of course the energy, that is a part of nature, part of our evolution, comes out, and we call it teenager rage, rebellion, and so on. So we said, why not use it and make them partners? With a batch of some 20 10th grade failures, we went to this desert in the middle of nowhere, almost away from anywhere, on the bank of Indus. And in the next 5 years or so, we worked with the students to conceive and design a school of their own. This was actually designed by the students in a workshop before there was anything on that desert, as a master plan for what will be there. And then in the next 5 years or so, we created this school. Yeah. This was a different school, different in that it was not just for children, it was for us also to learn how to live comfortably, but without sacrificing the planet for it. And for the students, it was different in that it is one school where the admission criteria is, yes, not percentage or grades, but that you have failed in the system. So that's what we give highest priority here. And the students who are so full of energy, we thought, should be doing things. They used to spend that energy in hunting and gathering. Here they should be doing things at school and be ready for life. So they run the school like a little country. And it is about the 3 H's. Head is fine, maths and algebra, but skills of the hands, from survival to livelihood, we have to give them all the skills. And skills of the heart, compassion, collaboration, and meditation, and so on, to enlightenment. Yes, they take care of the whole campus, take care of the cows, grow food in the gardens, and powerhouses are managed by the students. They use germ theory for jam making, and then many of them take it forward to make it their livelihood. A lot of things from a relevant contextual teaching can help children choose meaningful livelihoods. So several of them who were interested in fruit preservation became entrepreneurs who now sell jam and pulp to various industries across the nation. Others became travel companies, sustainable travel companies who were taking care of visitors at the school or add value to things like yak milk in their own regions. Making everything alive and contextual, we try to have innovations surrounding the themes of earth, sun, and ice. So earth buildings, solar heating of the buildings, but solar heating science, which our ancestors didn't have, we try to blend with the skills of building with earth or mud, which is thousands of years old, and yet very few know it or pass it on to the young. So at this school, they live in ultra-modern, solar-heated mud houses that are as warm in winters and as cool in summers as anywhere else in other parts of the world where you spend so much energy to get that. And then they live farming on a field where the plants are fed by the compost toilets, the dry compost toilets, and the products feed the people, and the cycle is continued, and they can actually see it physically, visibly on the side. Taking the best of traditional and blending it with the best of modern science. For skills like building with earth, we didn't have many teachers around because these were all forgotten, and by this time people used to laugh at us for going back to earth buildings, against the current. And yet we thought there was nothing wrong with earth buildings. They are not kacha houses. This fort that you see, we carbon dated, someone carbon dated and found out it was 1500 years old. It's not kacha. Concrete houses have a life of 60 to 100 years, and they are called pakka. So, how do we learn this? So we went to different sites, and people were not around who got these techniques right. So we had to reverse engineer them. So we took them to labs and tested ourselves what went right in these buildings, what mix of soil and gravel and sand and silt and clay that got them lasting so long. And we tried to recreate those things because something went right that it has lasted so long. And then we start passing on to the students to learn these techniques, and then some of them again take it as a career for their livelihoods, solving a problem and supporting themselves, a pure, clean and green path of life. So some of them became entrepreneurs who could build you a solar-heated mud house on call, design and build companies that do that as demand for this is increasing more and more. So these are ultra-modern rammed earth houses that are aspirational. And we attacked the rich first. We didn't repeat the mistake of saying earth buildings are for the poor people, Janta Awas Yojana, and so on. We said it's for the richest people. And now resorts and all are queuing up for these entrepreneurs to have them built. And the rest will follow, of course, once the rich are hooked. And they don't look too bad. It's aesthetically nice inside, and it's all clean, natural material that emits no toxic fumes or nothing. Actually, it regulates moisture like an HVAC system. It takes in moisture when there's too much, gives off moisture when there isn't enough in the house, and solves this problem. This is lay in the morning in a morning. It's all smoke from burning whatever. You have money, but not enough understanding, then this happens. So I see that time is running short. So this is about solving the problem of water. You can see many videos on internet, so I won't go into this. When we started making ice reservoirs to solve the water problem using gravity, which is one thing we have in mountains. Even if we have nothing and we have harsh environments, uphill and downhill is what we have, and that can be a lot of energy because you can put a pipe upstream, bring it downstream, and high school science says water maintains its level all the time. So the water will go to the level of inlet at the outlet, and the pressure is used to spray the water in the -20 air, thereby making it lose the latent heat that keeps it liquid, and you get a pyramid built for free. Unlike the pyramids of Egypt, which was a huge drudgery, here the liquid properties of water takes it 10 stories high, and then losing the latent heat, it becomes a solid 6-story tall pyramid of ice, with 1 million liters of water. Yes. And then as it melts, the water collects in a tank, and from there drip irrigation helps plants grow in a desert that has never seen any greenery forever. So 5,000 trees are growing there. And then it spreads to villages. We help it spread, and there's a competition among villages to build ice stupas. We call them stupas, so it relates to cultural monuments, and they can find it closer to their heart. Otherwise, calling it a cone of ice wouldn't appeal to many people. So this one is half the height of Qutub Minar, holds about 70 lakh liters of water. And and now it's becoming a livelihood also, slowly. Some of these villages have started ice cafes inside the ice stupas. Others are starting ice climbing adventure on the stupas, climb the peaks that you build yourself. And yet others are trying to see if ice hotels can be built inside the ice stupa. Now, this got us this Rolex award, and we thought an award, the money and the publicity is okay, but it doesn't do anything more than itself. So we said, why not make these ways of solving contextual problems by engaging the young people in it a part of all young people? Why should it be just some crazy young people in a corner of the mountains? Why not make it a part of education, higher education? So we thought we should use this to launch a movement for alternative contextual universities that engage in real life problem solving rather than just paper knowledge, paper degrees, and paper exams. So we started a crowdfunding campaign to start a university on the desert, which will become something like that, using ice stupas and artificial glaciers and artificial lakes. So a crowdfunding campaign was started on the day the award was announced, because this award comes with a huge publicity, and that's what a crowdfunding campaign needs. So we rode the wave, and the money that came with it, roughly 1 crore rupees, I could say I contribute, and thereby ask others to match rather than beg. So crowdfunding is a very interesting way we found at every stage, where more than the money, the sentiments, the engagement of people is a bigger byproduct than the money itself. So now what I want to share today with you at the end is this. We at this HIAL Alternative Institute feel that making ice stupas in Ladakh or, living in solar heated mud houses, that's good, but it's not going to solve our problem of global warming. It's not. These are nothing to be boasted about. These are small fixes. The real solution lies with people in the big cities of the world. If they continue their business as usual, we in the mountains will keep running from pillar to post doing such little things. And therefore, our message to the world is, please live simply in the big cities so we in the mountains can simply live. And this we want to make into a movement of pledges for the planet. So, as New Year comes, people make pledges, resolutions around the world. We want to launch a crowdfunding campaign of a different kind. Perhaps it will become the biggest in the history if you all partner and support. This will be a crowdfunding campaign which will look like any other crowdfunding campaign. Hopefully it will be launched in early December, so it is at its peak when New Year comes. Here you will be able to, on the site, contribute. There will be tabs you press which says $10,000, $5,000, but not a dollar, not a rupee will change hands. All you will do is make pledges worth so much. For example, if you say, I'll go vegetarian, or I'll be half non-veg as I am today. I'll reduce it to half. That could be $20,000 worth of service to the planet. So you press that and it will be made, and yet you don't have to pay. You may say, I'll not use elevators, I'll use steps. That might be $5,000. You pledge that. And if you think, why is he looking so shabby? That's because I press the tab for not ironing ever. So I don't iron my clothes, yeah? You could join me. One hour of ironing is equal to 4 days of light for a rural home. So how could you be so heartless? So I press that, and it is $10,000. You choose, whenever possible, train over aircraft. An aircraft ride of 1 hour or so causes 300 kilograms of carbon dioxide, while a train, 25 kilograms. Wow. You could, for the whole year, if you pledge, half the time, or most of the times, you could be contributing $20,000. So you contribute. Likewise, you could contribute whatever pledges you make for the year. The beauty will be that it will be a huge number if the whole world participates, running into maybe trillions of dollars, and yet there will be no money you will have to contribute, and yet it will be real. Because when you actually stop ironing, it will be real electricity saved. When you take trains, it will be real CO2 cut. And we don't stop at personal behavior change. Behavior change is so important. We don't just shout, but also act. But at the same time, connect to others, use democratic forces. So join a club that does environmental things. You might, by joining them, contribute $10,000. Join Greta Thunberg's Fridays for Future. You contribute $20,000 by joining with others. Meet your member of parliament. Each of the constituency, if people keep meeting and asking them to change their policies, they will start thinking that this is a priority of the people, and they will reflect it in the parliament. And governments may change their policies if so many people find a platform where they can express and celebrate that the world is expressing. So this is what we hope to launch in this December. But to launch that also is of a scale like this, we need lots of partners who will exactly quantify, or as much as possible, what saving is it to use bicycle over car, train over aeroplane, or go vegetarian, or people who can spread it out, media houses, institutions, organizations, and so on, to crowdsource partners for this campaign. We're running a small crowdsourcing for partners from 2nd October. Gandhi's birthday. It was Gandhi who said, live simply so others may simply live. So we celebrate that day after or so on 2nd October. And I welcome you all to join in that, be partners in this campaign that might start from India but may go global, where people express their concern but also do something in their personal lives. Yeah? So that's what, again, as a 21-year-old, I had been running around to say that we need more wisdom than cleverness. Yeah? We need a life and education and thought of wisdom rather than cleverness of doing everything we can. So again, I stumbled upon a little clip from 1990 or 91 from that film, which I thought I'll share with you. And I'm still doing that at 53.
One thing that I see very remarkable in Ladakh is that anything they do, they rate it, they weigh it in terms of what it will be for generations, what it will be for their children and grandchildren. We have a common phrase like, how it will be for our children, means how it will be for our precious children. I see this distinction between cleverness and wisdom. Cleverness is when you are very sharp in your head and you can make wonders out of it. But then wisdom is beyond that. This wisdom of seeing what is useful and what is harmful for your future, irrespective of how advantageous it is for you right now. This is a difference, I think, from the rest of the world, and this is something that Ladakh can contribute to others.
Well, this is not the end. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. बैठ जाइए, बच्चे की जान ले लेंगे क्या?